Hello, what is good? So, I've talked about the game developer caution by Tim here, and Tim was the one of the original creators or the creator of Fallout, right? And he usually talks about things happening in development of games and the overall gaming industry, and amongst other things. I commented on his video about game developer caution, right? And I mean, he seemed to have the same idea as most people. It's just companies nowadays are risk averse, right? And the only time you see any type of games that take any type of risk is in the indie scene, because the mainstream scene will never push boundaries. Like, they'll never offend, they'll never do things like these. So, and since I talked about his first video, I guess I'll talk about his second video. We will go through it.
Hi everyone, it's me, Tim, and today I want to do part 2 of game development caution. Because that video got a lot of views and a lot of comments, and I kind of want to talk about it. Yeah, I know the lighting's weird. It is just dark in Seattle all the time sometimes. Today's a dark day, so I just turned on the overhead light. See how this goes. So, I did the video on game developer caution. Game development caution. And on the one hand, there was a lot of really good discussion about it, and that was great. I loved that there was discussion, because that's kind of what the game development business needs. It needs people talking about things, talking about processes, talking about problems, just telling people this is what it's like, so you can make an informed decision if this is the job you want to do. But there was a problem that ran through the comments on that video, and some of the places that picked up the video continued what I considered to be an issue with how that video was taken. And the problem was that they were focusing on individuals.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? In development, like, all the pieces that come together to simply make a video game, right? And the problem usually is if the system itself is made in a way where individuals, like the individual pieces, can either be lax or they can not be held accountable. Like, if the system itself is flawed, inevitably the pieces will also fall apart. Like, if you can't get the coding right, or if you can't get have like the right art, or if you can't, you know, get the right amount of art, you can't have the right amount of assets, or if it takes a while. Like, this is usually why companies don't take a risk. They just do the same thing, the same formulaic thing over and over, because they have a system where the pieces just operate like often like an assembly line, right? And usually when the pieces, again, my argument is it's the system itself that allows the pieces to fall out of places.
People were listening to the stories I told and focusing on one of the individuals
Mm-hmm.
as the problem, and not what the problem was I was trying to illustrate. I mean, I can give an example. There were a lot of people that said I was the bad guy, that I was the obvious bad boss, that I wasn't listening to the people who were working for me, I wasn't accepting their estimates, I was yelling in my office. It's funny, I know I kind of said we were yelling. We were just having a discussion. And it bothered me when I found out, oh, people were bothering. I'll shut the door, we'll go do it somewhere else. But the point of that was more of a, people don't want to talk about issues in detail like that. They just, most of them just want to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the point. I wasn't saying that these people are bad. I'm saying the process that they find themselves involved in is bad.
Yeah, it's
Um,
fundamentally flawed.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, you should have just fired some of those people involved. They didn't want the whiteboard up, fire. Gave you bad estimates, fire them." That's totally missing the whole point of the video. Um, and I'm torn because I think when I'm talking about things, I do better when I give specific examples. It illustrates it and kind of roots it in reality, and these are real problems that happen. These are real things that happen. But the problem is people, when they focus on the wrong thing, it makes me think that they're like a doctor who, rather than trying to find out the cause of your illness, you're just being given pills to treat the symptoms. So it's like, oh, I've got this pain in my side. Here's a painkiller. That's not what I wanted. I want to know why I have a pain in my side. I don't want a painkiller. Although when I had the kidney stone, as soon as I found out it was kidney stone, I wanted all the painkillers they could give me. I was like, get science in the room. I need more painkillers.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? People like to hyperfixate. Like, it's difficult to explain complex issues with people who, one, already have their mind made up, or two, don't really care. They're just given a circumstance and is told, oh, hey, I don't like this. You're the bad guy. And this is a complex issue that just cannot be solved one singular way or the other. Like in the coding aspect, if you hired the HR lady that hired her friends and now they're fucking with the coders, right? And if you try to fire any of these individuals, right, they'll strike, they'll claim, oh, racism or misogyny. Like, again, if they're hired off ideological nepotism, right, they're trained by the university to fight these things. So they're already in the company, and there's not really much you can really do about it. Like, I know one person told me they outsource their HR department, and every so often they, you know, filter them out. And that's a very unique way, and I guess it works, right? And this is the problem we're having in the West with the whole ideological nepotism, right? You have the people who, again, have never wrote a piece of art in their life, has never coded a game in their life, right? But they have a university degree in, I don't know, gender studies or colonial studies, and they're put in positions of power over people who have coded games, who have written games, who have made art for 20 plus years, and they're put in these positions of power by their friends who are also in middle management. So, and it's like, if this is in your company, and again, I don't think like Ubisoft really even cares to get rid of these individuals, because the upper management, they make money regardless, right? They make money not even off straight sales. Like, I was told that some companies just get like government grants for, I don't know, uh, art, right? Like, what Germany would do is the more movies they'd make in Germany, the more government grants they would make, because they're profligating the German nationality through its art. And many companies, I think this guy was from Canada, right? He said, oh, we make so much money off grants, we don't really even need to really even break even with what we made. You know, we just get paid so much fucking money. And this is where it's at. Like, in every way, shape, case, or form, they bypass the consumer. And if they bypass the consumer, they're no longer beholden to the consumer. And others make it off ESG or investor money, or the company's either too so fucking big that it literally cannot fail. Then that's the problem. I have no fucking idea how to fix this. I guess the consumer will need to just put their money towards things they like.
But similarly, saying, well, Tim, you're a horrible boss. No one will ever want to work with you. I agree. There's people who don't want to work with me, and probably some people on this channel who wouldn't want to work with me, and I wouldn't want to work with them. A lot of people do. That's missing the point. It's there was a problem getting people involved in a way that I think is part of their job. That they should be thinking, I'm putting this feature in. Is this gonna connect right? Why do people? Why are we even needed this? Nobody asked me why we needed that AI I suggested. It was needed because designers were blocked on testing combat. The suggestion I added, I thought was reasonable. 45 minutes of code connected in just 2 spots, 2 locations, through events. An event system that already existed. No unit tests. No, well, how would this be extended? This code was designed to be thrown out. It served a purpose. I could do a whole thing on rapid prototyping, and maybe I will, but rapid prototyping just isn't a thing in the industry anymore. And it was hard to get people to understand. I'm just trying to unblock something here really quickly. You will still be scheduled to do the real AI when it's really going to go in a few more months. We just need the designers and level designers, especially who are making encounters, to be able to get a little better feel for how those encounters will go. But anyway, let's talk about a non-game example. Maybe if I illustrated this with a non-game example, it would make more sense. Let's say there was an intersection near your house. 2 streets intersected. And there were always accidents there. Cars are always running into each other there. Now, a reasonable person might go, okay, are there trees or hedges or other things blocking view there? Maybe we need stop signs or a stoplight, or maybe we need to replace it with a roundabout. Those are reasonable discussions to the problem I just mentioned. People asking questions about what could be the cause of this, and here are some possible solutions. Instead, how I see people talk about it is, oh my goodness, they should ticket everybody who has an accident there, and if you have more than one accident, you just get your license removed. That'll fix it. Or they say, why don't we just reduce the speed on those roads and all the nearby roads to like 10 miles per hour? Then there probably won't be accidents because people can stop in time, and even if there are, no one will get hurt. Or they go, there's accidents there and people are getting hurt a lot. We should build a hospital right on the corner. So then when people get hurt, we can take them right into that hospital. And it's like, all those suggestions, people think they're being reasonable and intelligent, and I'm going to fix this problem of...
Or you can place a cop there and be like, hey, there's a cop on this road. Be careful. I mean, it's understanding the human condition, like how humans act, right?
Of accidents at this intersection, but they're looking at the wrong thing. They're either punishing the people for having the accidents or making it so that the accidents still happen, but the side effects aren't as bad, either in damage, or the accidents happen just as badly, but you've got something there to fix the people. It breaks my programmer brain that people think those are suggestions, reasonable suggestions to, there's an intersection with a lot of accidents. And that's how I feel.
And this is what you get with actually talking to the internet. Like, you have people that attribute, like, they don't look at the problem about, oh, how would I act if I was this person? People are like, okay, how would I go about it being myself in this situation? And that's usually how most people go about it, right? You know, there are some people that don't have the inner monologue. Some people just cannot empathize with and put themselves in the shoes of other people. They only view the world through themselves. And they're like, okay, what would I do in this position? Right? And people do it in a way where there's no repercussion. It's just how they would go about it. And it's like, well, there is repercussions of just up and firing the guy in his uh, in his like his example, or like, you know, getting mad at Tim in particular. Like there are repercussions to that, but it's easy to sort of be on the outside and interject yourself and be like, oh, in this situation I do this. Like it's a strategy game, but most people put in these positions don't really understand how to go about it.
I feel like a lot of people are responding to my stories. They're not thinking about what's causing it. They're looking at the symptoms and going, I can get rid of those symptoms. Trivial. And to put it in another non-game development analogy, let me tell you how I think of this channel, this whole channel, every topic, every time I start and talk. This is what I'm thinking. I feel like I'm walking around a dark warehouse and I've got a flashlight and I'm pointing at things in the warehouse and I'm going, oh, look there. See those boxes? I want people to see them. I want to be aware of what it is they're seeing. And then if it's an issue, maybe they can have some ideas of how to fix it. Now, good suggestions would be, hey, I didn't get a good perspective on those boxes. Can you stand in a different place and illuminate them? Perfectly reasonable answer. Or, hey, I have some ideas of where you should go in the warehouse, some places that need the light shown, so we can talk about that thing. Perfectly reasonable suggestions. Instead, I get comments like, well, I get the, oh, you're stupid. I get that worded in many different ways. Or, buy a bigger flashlight, you loser, which I don't get why anybody would say that.
Well, but see, the problem, and from my perspective, perspective of people who actually, who consume the product and has to deal with ideologically possessed individuals on Twitter that want the product. It's like in the warehouse situation, you have people who are hired on based on ideological nepotism, being like, "Oh, we want the lights off because we need to save Mother Gaia." Now, what does this have to do with game development and making a better product? Nothing at all. Or what does this have to do with managing the warehouse? Absolutely nothing. But because they went to, I don't know, ecological studies, they're like, oh no, we need to save power in this warehouse, so turn off all the lights. And if you have a problem with that, well, you'll get fired and we'll replace you with someone who's also from ecological studies and keep the lights off. Even if they know it makes the process of maintaining the warehouse worse, makes it harder on the people who've been maintaining the warehouse for 20 plus years, right? They want the lights off regardless. And this is the issue we're facing, right? This is the problem, at least in Western entertainment, right? And it's been like this for a while. Now even the consumer is waking up, right? They're waking up and figuring this out, being like, oh hey, the people at these companies, the people who should be selling entertainment, are instead selling ideology. Like they're injecting ideology into the process, and it doesn't make the product better. If anything, it makes it worse. It makes it cost more, right? They demand more money for this, and this is the issue that I'm seeing. This is the issue that most other people are seeing, and I mean, you can't really blame people I'm arguing from the position of the consumer, not really from the position of either a game developer or a coder. I play these games and this is what I see. I put this out on Twitter and then I get attacked. Like I'm just supposed to shut the fuck up and allow it. So you can't really blame people for seeing it because it's just how they interact with the product, right?
Or we'll just turn off the flashlight. Now there's no problems anymore. People have basically suggested things of rather than fixing the problem, they're making the problem not visible anymore. And then some people even go, we should just leave the warehouse. You should go to the indie warehouse next door. We don't have those problems. And I'm like, okay, but can you not see that there's still a big warehouse with people bumping around in the dark and having problems? Going to the new warehouse doesn't fix the old warehouse. I understand some of you are like, look, I didn't build this warehouse. I don't know how to fix the warehouse problems. I'm going to go over to the indie warehouse. I get it. But, I spent the last 40 years in that warehouse. I want to try to help fix some of these things. Or, even better, point out them so you guys can fix them. So, in a sense, I kind of want the issues discussed so that people know what the issues are and agree what the issues are and then try to fix them. And that's the whole point of this, kind of. I want, in addition to me wanting you guys to go and make great games for me to play, which is a totally selfish reason, but I consider this channel a place for learning about game development topics and discussing them. And some topics include problems that exist in the game industry. What I'm hoping is that people will focus more on treating the causes of those problems and a lot less on just ameliorating the symptoms of those problems. And as I said in another video about, hey, we've all got to agree that there is a problem and what's the cause of the problem and then the solution of the problem, that's kind of what I'm saying here. I see a lot of discussion about game development caution. I don't see a lot of suggestions on how to get rid of it. I see a lot of people saying, I don't think it's a problem, or they're being this way because of fear of their job, or fear of speaking out. Okay, if that's the root cause of this, how do we fix that? And I don't think we fix that by firing people. Because once you start going down that road, you end up with a lot of very quiet people who never want to rock the boat. Again, I still see game development caution as being a problem. I don't see it being solved with some of the solutions people are saying. In fact, most of those ignore the cause and are just going after symptoms. I think in the future, let's look more at causes. And that's kind of what this video is about. Anyway, thank you.
And yeah, see, that's fair enough. I mean, he's putting his experience out there and being like, oh, here's these situations, how we go about them, and why this is the issue, and I'm putting the issue I see out, which is ideology, is people who just want to mass produce the product, right? And in that case, there is no soul behind it. And they demand, like they covet my money. They refuse to give me the product I want, right? And in such cases, right, people are going to be mad. People are going to be like, oh, well, we're in this situation where they're cautious because, there's so many checks, so many balances, you got the inclusive code. Well, this puts out a worse product, so maybe those people just shouldn't be in the industry, right? And I understand where that's coming from, and sometimes I think that as well, because at the end of the day, as a developer, you're still a representative of the company, right? You still represent, like, you can have whatever, say, political stance, ideological stance you want, right? But as long as you're at this goddamn company, you do the goddamn work. And again, some people, some community managers, maybe, some HR ladies, some diversity hires don't want to do that. Like, they want to be outwardly antagonistic towards the consumer. And when that happens, people just really don't have any, you know, sympathy towards these individuals, because these are individuals that are going out of their way to piss me off. So I definitely understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I understand where, you know, the people are just that are saying, "Oh, just fire them," or saying, you know, "Oh, we don't need them." I also understand where they're coming from. So it's like he said, it is a very complex issue. We've gotten to this point, and I don't know how we're going to get out of this. Right? Again, I'm just going to put my money towards the things I want to play, towards the games and the entertainment I want to see, and hopefully things get better. Right? But I mean, who knows how things are going to be 5 years from now? Could it be better? Could it be worse? Who the fuck knows? But anyway, I mean, that's all I gotta say about this. See ya.